What's good, YouTube? Today I'm gonna be giving you guys a tutorial on a mid bald fade with a beard combination as well. I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about it. We just gonna go ahead and get right into it. Alright, y'all. So the first thing you always wanna do anytime you're about to cut hair is comb that client's hair out. Whether you use a brush or a comb, you always want to comb or brush that client's hair out so you can see where the hair naturally falls. After that, you want to use your trimmers and go up about midway on the client's head because we're doing a mid bald fade. It don't matter really what trimmer you use as long as they cut. Your preference is your preference. I personally like to use the wall detailers. Or one of the trimmers I like to use is the wall detailers. Wireless, of course. And when you're doing this bald line, you want to kind of go up midway and flick out. You always want to flick out. You want to do this as thorough and as clean as possible. That way you miss hairs least often as you would like to because you're doing a thorough job. That's why you want to make sure it's clean, it's precise. Even if you have to go over the same areas 2, 3, 4 times, do exactly what you see fit to get the overall outcome of the service that you're giving. Sometimes you might have to swipe over the same area, and always put that ear down when you're working around that ear region. You don't want to cut the ear on your client. And these are the trimmers that I use, the detailers, by the way, just for anybody that was curious. Then you want to grab your shaver, whatever shaver you use, and you kind of want to use that shaver in that same region that you balled out the fade. Not necessarily go all the way up to the line, but go just below that line and flick it out. Just below the line and flick it out. And you want to be as precise and as thorough as you can with this as well. It's going to help the overall outcome of your haircut. As thorough as your strokes and as thorough as your swipes are when you're giving that haircut or that service to your client. It would definitely help. You want to be as thorough as you can. Get every little straggling hair, every little hair you see coming out of the roots if you could catch it. Then, the next thing you do, you want to grab your adjustables, open them all the way, and you basically going up a 1/2 inch above that bald guideline. Whatever adjustables you use, it doesn't really matter. I use the wall seniors. I'll be doing a 1/2 inch on the beard and the fade, the beard and the fade, in these general regions. And when you're doing this, you want to be as precise as possible. Keep that ear folded down. Anytime you cutting around that client's ear, you wouldn't want to cut the ear on that client. And just make sure your strokes are precise. And when you're going up, you flicking out. And sometimes you might have to go over the same areas more than one time to get it as clean as possible. Same thing on that beard. That 1/2 inch like we talked about. Always comb the hair down as you cut. Then you want to close the lever about halfway and go up halfway in that general region. Sometimes you gotta pull that skin to stretch it out so you can cut every hair in that area. Again, we folding that ear down because you don't want to cut your client. Do a thorough job as possible if you can help it. Then open up that lever a little bit more. Not all the way open, almost. And kind of go all the way up just until you get to that line and flick out. You don't go all the way to the line per se, but almost all the way to the line and flick out. You want to be as uniform as possible when you're going through these steps. It's definitely going to define how that fade come out. And if you'll have to do any later on details later on in the cut, the less detailing you have to do, the better. Then you want to close that lever all the way, flick out at that bottom line that you created initially, and flick out. Go up, flick out, scoop, flick out. Using the corner of the blades, only the left teeth or the right teeth. Never fade with the entire blade, just the corners. Stretch the skin, hold the ear down, whatever you gotta do to get that ending result that you want. And closing the lever don't necessarily get that line out, but it softens it. Then you want to go halfway on the lever and go all the way up almost until you get to that next line and flick out. Not exactly to the line, but almost, and flick out. Never dig, always flick out. Always flick out. Using the corner of those blades. Just the left teeth or the right teeth, but always flick out. And again, sometimes you have to go over those areas more than one time. Do what you gotta do to get a thorough outcome. You want that fade to be as clean as you can get it. Then we're gonna use the trimmers to get that bottom line completely out. Same thing with the trimmers, we just using the corner teeth. Just the corners. Not the whole clipper. Just the corners. And you want to flick at any dark spots you might see with those trimmers on that bottom line. Comb the hair out so you can see where the hair is falling. And just do it again. Go over it as many times as necessary to make sure it's completely blended. You're gonna repeat the same steps with the beard. Halfway in that same region, open it up halfway. And then you just flick out. Flick out. Comb the hair out, flick out. Then you open the lever almost all the way. Again, same steps. Bottom of that region, flick out. Flick out. As you scoop, then you close the lever on that top line. Using the corner teeth like we talked about, flick out. Comb the hair as you go. Flick out. Go over that region as many times as necessary to get that end result. Same thing, use your trimmers, knock that last little bottom line out on top of that beard. Corners, flick out. As you go, comb the hair out and flick out. Next thing, you want to grab your 1.5 guard or a 1.5 guard. It doesn't matter what guard you use. Magnetic, babeless, whatever the case, it don't matter. Close the clippers all the way. Put that guard on, and we're gonna go up about 1 inch in the next area of that beard. And 1 inch in the next area above that fade. Some people do an inch and a half. Some people do a half an inch to get the real tight knit blends. But me, I like to go up an inch. That's just the amount of space that I need to blend that area of the head, or the fade, if you will. And I always comb that hair down. And repeat the same steps. Go over those areas more than one time if you don't think you caught all the hairs the first time. In most cases, you didn't. And if you want to be a detail-based barber, a perfectionist, you have to take that extra little time to do those details, comb that hair down, make sure it's nice and neat. Do the same thing on that beard. Go straight up, flick out. About an inch on that lower bottom region, on the area we already faded, and flick out. Then you want to grab your half guard or your your 0.5 guard. Again, it don't matter. Then we're going to close that lever about halfway. Then we're going to go up halfway in the area that we were just now fading, on the beard and on the head. We're going to start on the fade first. On the side of his head, we're going to go up about halfway in that 1 inch region. Comb the hair as you're cutting. See where that hair falls. And continue to do the same thing horizontally along that line. Going up about halfway and flicking out. Go over that area as many times as you need to. As many times as necessary. Comb that hair down so you can see everything. You can have a nice smooth canvas. Open that clipper almost all the way and go almost all the way until that bulk and flick out. You don't want to go all the way to the bulk, almost all the way to the bulk and flick out. Comb the hair down as you go so you can see where the hair falls and how the hair falls. And if the hair is falling properly, and if you're cutting every strand of hair that level on the clipper can cut. I always comb that hair down. I can't stress that enough. You don't want to be fading hair that's already faded. Then that last bottom line, basically, you want to close your lever all the way. Same thing, flick out. Flick out. Closing that lever all the way is not gonna get that line out all the way. But you're not looking for it to get it out all the way. You just want to soften it up so the transition of the fade could be a lot smoother. Using the corner of those clippers like we previously stated. And just continue to flick out. Comb the hair down. Keep scooping at that line. Continue to flick out. Then you go halfway up. Open that lever halfway and go about all the way up in that same region. Comb the hair down. All the way up. Not to the bulk, but almost to the bulk. In that same region. Then we're going to take that guard off. Open the clippers all the way. And we're going to flick out at that last bottom line that you can see right there. Using the corner of our clippers, we're going to flick out at that line. We want to try to get that line invisible if we can. Comb that hair down. Flick out. Flick out. Comb that hair down. Flick out. If you have to go over the same area again, that's fine. You want to get it as clean as possible. Cut as much hair as it allow you to cut. All the way open and you flicking out with the corner of them clippers. The left corner, right corner, it doesn't make a difference. Just flick out. Most importantly, As long as you're flicking out, you can't go wrong. You want to give the illusion in that fade. This is why the steps and the position of the clippers are so critical. You know, sometimes you have to comb that hair out a little more, you know. Go up halfway with the lever. Then you want to flick out at that line. Still using the corner of the clipper. Sometimes all the way open won't always knock that line out, depending on the texture of the hair. That's why you close it halfway. Sometimes halfway does the trick. And it seems like the halfway is doing the trick right now. And you know, you just continue to flick out with those corners and comb out. Comb the hair out. You guys have to be patient when you're doing this. Sometimes you're going to get frustrated, seeming like the clipper's not cutting, but just stay with it. Halfway, continue to flick out. Any dark spots you see on that line, flick out. It's pretty much blended now. So now you just want to play with the clippers just to kind of cut out those dark spots that you might see that, you know, the hair in certain spots of the head might grow different. So sometimes the vertical strokes and just the one motion with the strokes won't do the job. So you kind of got to manipulate the clippers, adjust them, open them, and close them. Flick out them to see, you know, what cuts, what don't cut. If it's not cutting, close it some more. If it's cutting too low, open it up. Flick at it again. Just have to have patience and trust the process, you know, follow your steps. Because everybody's hair is different. Some fades might be a little more challenging than others. Always combing that hair down. You kind of can still see a little bit of line, so you want to close the clippers all the way. Still using those teeth. I've already tried going up a little bit, so I had to go up a little bit more with the clippers all the way closed. And, you know, just keep working that level, you know, and that's kind of like that result that you want to get. Pretty blended. Then we want to do the same thing to the beard. You grab your 0.5 guard or your half guard, point at that region just to show you kind of where I'm fade at. Go halfway with the lever, flick out. In a scooping motion, flick out. And as you do that, you cutting the hair. You want to always comb that hair down so you can see what you're cutting, see where that hair naturally falls. Open the lever almost all the way to that bottom bulk region of that half inch or that inch region initially and flick out. Then you want to close your lever halfway. Go halfway into that region. Flick out, scoop, flick, scoop, same motion. Then you're going to open that lever and take the guard off. Use the corner of those clippers like we discussed and just flick out, just to kind of make sure you get that line out of there. You don't want any lines in your fade. None. You want the illusion, you want that blurry effect. Go halfway. You close the lever halfway just when you want to cut a little bit more hair, but flick out, same effect. Now we gonna use some clipper over comb to kind of knock out that bulk. And you want to pull that beard hair out towards you and ride the clippers all the way up with that lever all the way open. And you just want to cut those dark spots. I'm gonna close the lever just so I can cut off a little more hair. Keep the comb more inner, closer to the client's face. Flick out and comb as you cut. Same thing on the side of that fade. You want to pull that hair out towards you. Pull that comb out towards you as well. Ride that clipper up and flick out. Ride it up, flick it out. Comb it. See where that hair falls? Flick out. Flick out. Constantly comb the hair, because the hair curls when you're cutting curly hair. It constantly moves, so it's important to constantly move that comb and comb that hair out so you can see where that hair falls. The details are so important. Sometimes you have to go over the same areas over and over. Sometimes you gotta open and close the lever on clip over comb. Sometimes the lever is open and it's not cutting enough hair. You need to cut more hair. You do what you see fit. Sometimes you have to constantly comb the hair, because different parts of the client's head may have different growth patterns. You kind of just want to flick wherever you see that line at. And that's not really going to get the line out. It's kind of going to soften it. And just freehand that bolt, as you see me doing here. Close it up. You want to cut more hair. You don't want to dig into his hair. You want to kind of come out with it, because you want to shape it as you kind of blending it. See the dark spots? Clip over comb that. Same deal. Kind of keep flicking out. And you can still see a line slightly. So just adjust your comb size a little. Get a smaller comb and do the same thing. Catch that hair, comb it up, pull it out towards you, and flick out. You have to be patient with this, guys. You have to use your judgment. You have to use your combs. You have to use your tools. Trust the process. Anywhere you see dark spots, you kind of want to just clip over comb those areas. And if it's not cutting enough, close the lever up. Don't be scared to close the lever. Always comb that hair down, because with that curly hair, you never know. Use the corner of those clippers like we always taught. We always talk about using the corners and flick out. Where you see those dark spots, where you see imperfections in the fade, comb that hair down and flick out. If you think that the lever isn't cutting enough, or the clipper isn't cutting enough, I'm sorry. Close those levers. Close that lever. You do what you gotta do to get that ending result for that fade. If it's cutting too much, open the lever up. Always flick out. Use the corners of the clippers. Use the corner of that blade. Let the clippers work for you. Be patient. Trust the process. Trust the steps. Trust your judgment. You see it dark, flick out. Keep combing that area down so you can see where the hair fall, flick out. Adjust the lever as you see fit. Always flick out. Then we're gonna continue to keep flicking out, because I see a little dark spot over here. Comb that hair out. Same deal. Continue to keep flicking out. Close the lever a little bit if it's not cutting enough hair. Use that eye. Use your details. You always want to give a great service. Even if it takes you a little while longer, you have to take a few extra minutes on that client. They're gonna appreciate that. You'll definitely be rewarded later on. Pull that ear down when you're working around that ear. You don't want no accidents in cutting that client's ear like we previously discussed. Just continue to keep flicking out as you see fit. Being a barber is patience. Comb the hair down and see where everything is falling. Kind of prep the hair up so we can go ahead and get it ready for the lineup. You always want to comb that hair out. It's so important to prep the haircut before that lineup. So when I like to do the lineups, I like to use Hold. It don't matter the brand of Hold spray you use, and I used to rub it on my fingers and kind of apply it manually instead of just spraying it. Just so I don't kind of make the client head too sticky and, too much product. Because once this stuff dries up, it could be kind of messy if you don't apply it properly. So I kind of just want to manually rub it on in. That way it kind of cuts out the mess. And like I said, this stuff is sticky, it's wet. So I like to use my blow dryer to kind of dry it. And use my comb to kind of maneuver the hole through the client's hair. And stretch all the hair as far as it can stretch. That way the lineup is as crispy as it possibly could get. And then you just grab your trimmers. Make sure the hair is falling down properly again. And you kind of just, start to line that client up. Don't put too much pressure on the clippers. Kind of want to just fall on top of that line. You don't want to dig in it because you don't want to push no lines back. Just fall on top of the line. And when you're doing a curve, you want to use the corner of the clippers. If you can help it. The corner of the clippers is basically going to save your life in this craft. Get the sharpest curves, you get the best blends with using the corner of the clippers. Sometimes you kind of got to define that curve and go over it a couple times. And as you line it up, you want to always comb that hair out. And with the beard, you want to just make a cup and kind of dig up, flick up, kind of push it away from you as you kind of establish that curvature in the beard. And sometimes I like to just fall on the line like you can see me doing here. And with this method, you kind of just want to shape the curve with the corner of the clippers. Use the corner of your trimmers and shape that curve that you're generally trying to find. Just go over it as many times as you need to kind of establish that curvature on a beard or that C cup of the lineup. And you go over it as many times as you need to make sure you get that final result that you're looking for. Like I told y'all, being a barber is details. It's patience. Having an eye for detail is going to get you very, very far in this career. People are going to notice you taking that extra time out on them when you're giving a service. And they appreciate that. And in most cases, you can get them to come back. So you line up the back of the beard, same deal. You want to fall down on the line and flick out. You don't want to dig in it. You want to kind of drag when you lining it up. I see a little dark spot, so I'm just kind of flicking at that. But go over those same areas, especially the curving on that beard. Get it as defined as possible without applying too much pressure. You don't want to cut the client. Kind of cut that hair that falls behind the beard, because details are everything. Just go over your lines. Sometimes 6 and 7 times. Just to make sure that you. So I pretty much kind of showed y'all already how I did the side of my client's fade and beard. So I'm not really gonna explain the right side of his fading beard. So I'm gonna just go ahead and kind of speed on through this. But basically, I pretty much did the same thing on this side that I did on the other side. Nothing different, nothing special. Literally go through the same exact steps. If you follow the exact steps, you cannot go wrong. It's the exact same thing on the other side. It's no different than the left side of my client's head. You always want to follow the same steps. You always want to follow the same system. And as long as you do that, you're going to be fine. Barbering will be a blast. Barbering will be great for you. Biggest thing with the barbering is finding a system and sticking to the system. What a lot of people don't really understand is barbering is so unorthodox, and that's perfect. It's like a million ways to do a haircut. It's a million ways to do a fade. A million ways to do a taper. It's a million ways to do a lineup. It's a million ways to do a beard. There's a million ways to do braids. There's a million ways to do locks. You know, you just kind of got to put your own spin on the craft. The craft is very, very flexible. The crafts have little to any rules, and there's little to any restraints on this craft, meaning you can be as creative as you want. If you trust the process and allow the craft to take care of you, allow the craft to change your life. Biggest thing with it though, you just gotta want it. Ultimately, it's just not gonna come to you. And it's not really for people that don't really want to be challenged. Because you're gonna have people that come to you with some crazy haircuts. And you gotta be willing to do those crazy haircuts. You know? Everybody's different. Everybody like different things. And as long as you willing to accept the challenge, you heard me? You willing to put your best foot forward in this industry, you're gonna prevail. It's one of them crafts that you kind of could use to express yourself. And people don't put a cap on you and put you in a box of how far you could take this. Because you could take this as far as you want to go with this. I've seen people do a lot of stuff with this barber craft. Always stay focused though. Alright guys, we finally reached the end of the haircut. Now we just gotta do the lineup. Use that hold that we use and kind of manipulate that hold on your hairline, on your client. Make sure you do the entire hairline. Grab your blow dryer. Go ahead and dry that product to kind of hold that hair in place, you know. Once you've done that, go ahead and grab you some hair clips and kind of, you know, get that hair out of the way, because you wouldn't want to cut that hair while you line up your client. Go ahead and get your comb and comb that hair down. Same direction that it falls naturally. You want to get the cleanest lineup that you can. This client in particular has a widow's peak. Don't assume that a client wants you to cut the widow's peak. Always ask. I'm not going to cut this widow's peak in this video, but your client may or may not want you to cut his widow's peak. So what we're going to do is close the lever on our adjustables with the the one guard. And we're just going to fall down on the top of his hairline to kind of cut those straggling hairs that's getting in the way of that hairline. just to keep it as crisp as possible. It makes it look more fresh, more appealing. The line comes out a lot better when you go ahead and lay that hair down and go back over and comb it out. You know, make sure that hair is always falling properly. You always want to comb the hair out no matter what. Lining up, debulking, fading or blending. You always want to comb it out. And me, I like to start in the center of the head because that's where the hair naturally falls. And then proceed to the left side or the right side, however you see fit. Me, in this video, I'm doing the left side. And kind of just lightly go over it as much as possible to kind of get that crisp, fresh line up. You might have to keep going over the same areas. As long as you're delicate with the pressure, it's okay. Just don't want to use too much pressure to cut your client. And have patience when you're doing this, guys. Lineups can make or break your haircut. I repeat, make or break your haircut. Never mind the thundering in the background, y'all. It was raining when I was doing this video. Just bear with me. And then, you know, ultimately you want to match the other side. You want to match the left side with the right side. And it just meets in the middle where you initially started at. Get that line up as straight as possible without digging into the client's natural line. And like I said, always comb the hair out and match the other side with the side that you started with. And that's going to ultimately bring the line up together. Again, you got to have patience when you're doing this, guys. It's not going to come overnight. It's not going to come in a few days. But if you stay consistent, stay teachable, find a system, stick to it, practice that system over and over and over and over and over, you're going to thrive in this barber craft. You're going to succeed. There's no way you can fail. And when you're doing that lineup, you know, you kind of sometimes have to go over the same areas over and over and over and over and over. Use your mirrors. Always use your mirrors, because your mirrors catch faulty spots in a lineup that your eye naturally will not catch. Same with the fade, same with the bulk. Everything. The mirror catches everything. Always remember that. Even if you think the lineup is straight, the mirror will tell you, no sir, you might want to look at that again. And, you know, just kind of use your judgment, like we previously talked about. Make sure everything is straight and crisp. You always want to give a good service. Don't worry about time. Your time gonna come. Your timing on your face is gonna come. That can always get better. But you'll never be able to take a bad service back. And that's why I like to tell people, who's looking to get into this craft, who's looking to get into this industry. This industry is a lot of pressure. For a lot of times, a lot of people, they only give you one shot. But if you're serious about it, if you stay consistent, stay practiced, stay learning, stay teachable, you can thrive in this craft. This craft is tedious and it's very, very demanding. But with the right mindset, you can thrive in this craft. I can't stress that enough. And I will also continue to keep saying, do not be afraid to go over the same areas over and over. When you're doing a mustache lineup, I like to fall down on top of it. Don't dig in it too much and just kind of use the corner of your clippers when you're using the trimmers to line up the bottom of the mustache. Kind of make like a C cut. Be real light and gentle. Never use the entire blade to do any lineup. Whether that's a mustache, whether it's on a beard, whether it's on a hairline. The front hairline, I'm sorry. Trust your trimmers, be light. Don't be heavy-handed. And again, you may have to go over the same areas over and over, but that's okay. The goal is to always get the best outcome. If it takes you a little while longer, don't worry. Your time will come. Your time will eventually get cut short the more you do this, the more you work at this, the more you cut hair. Every haircut is an opportunity. It's another rep. It's another chance to win somebody over. Be proud of your process, even when your haircuts ain't fully up to par. Go ahead and go over that lineup again. Make sure everything is clean. And there you have it, people. A mid-ball fade with a beard combination. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I appreciate y'all for watching. Peace. Alright, y'all. There y'all have it. Mid-ball fade with the beard combination. All natural line, no enhancements. Thanks for watching, y'all.